He would be John McMullen. That makes me Jody McDonald. It makes us Mac here on Birds 365 as we start to close in on the Eagles' attempt to go 9-0. We're not getting there till Monday, so got to have a little patience here, guys. Mikey missed at it a couple times. Bored. Waiting from Thursday to Monday, I got to admit, I get bored too. It's a mini bye in the midst of the season stinks.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, Thursday night game, Monday night game. I mean, we're going to have to get used to these night games because they're so good, but it's no fun. I will say that.
Ooh, that brings up a topic. I was going to talk about the quarterback here, but since you went there, let me ask you a question. This week, I think, was the first time that NBC had the ability to flex out the Sunday game. That is a prime package. They pay a big fee to broadcast Sunday night games, and they're the only network that is actually allowed.
Yeah, and they did flex. Who'd they flex? I got the press release, but
they flexed the Chargers and the 49ers into Sunday night, and that is not two winning teams because the 49ers right now are 4-4. The Chargers are 5-3, but the 49ers are 4-4. But I'm guessing the Vikings and the Bills were protected. There's, I used to know.
Yeah, I think that's, you can protect a certain amount of games. I think that's a box game. And they probably wanted to keep it for obvious reasons. It's as you mentioned, it's the only game between winning teams.
Two winning teams.
Yeah. So they probably wanted to keep that one. Buffalo, obviously, a significant contender. I don't think Minnesota is, but they are 7-1. At some point, I'm going to have to give the Vikings and Giants credit if they keep winning, but I'm still hedging on those two teams.
All right, so let me ask you about a couple of Eagle games because the Eagles are already penned into Sunday night in just a couple of weeks. Now the McMullen's got to work a night game. That would be the Green Bay Packers coming to Lincoln.
Maybe the Packers are so bad they'll flex that out. Maybe 425.
They flex out the undefeated team in the National Football League.
I don't.
No
so.
shot. No chance. That's in
cement. Somebody can hope, Jody. Can hope.
The Packers lose their next two games. What are they now? 3-5.
I believe so.
They could be 3-7, but it's still Aaron Rodgers against a team with, at the most, one loss. I think they'll personally still be undefeated. That's a guaranteed Sunday night. That's not changing. But over the next couple of weeks, they're not going to go Eagles back-to-back weeks. So Tennessee is going to be played on Sunday afternoon. The week after, the Giants.
That's a big game because of the markets.
Understood.
And they're good teams. Well, the Giants might be a good team, but
the week after is Chicago, two big markets. But if you're NBC and you're gonna flex into another Eagle game relatively soon, which one you flexing into? Divisional rival against the Giants, or the all of a sudden getting a lot of attention Justin Field Bears, who are at the time going to be 4-8 or somewhere there.
I would definitely go Giants over Bears. No question about that.
Right. Because then after that, you got Dallas. That's Christmas Eve. So you're not flexing out of that. That's a Saturday game to begin with. So you're not moving it to Sunday night on Christmas night. The week after that is New Orleans. By then, the Eagles might be in starting quarterback for your Philadelphia Eagles, Gardner Minshew mode. So that's it. You only got one, John. I see one game on the schedule that could potentially be flexed. That would be the first of the two matchup against the Giants this year.
Yeah. Now that you've talked me through that, I feel a little bit better. There's only so much you can do. And you're probably right. You probably nailed the one game that they will flex. And who knows? Maybe Fox complains about that. I don't know how many games you can protect. Maybe Fox doesn't want to give that game up, but I'm not sure. I know they can protect certain games, but I'm not sure how often they can do it, how that works. But you know me, Sunday 1 o'clock football. That just feels right.
And you from a work perspective, me from a fan perspective, we end up at the same place. I like watching football Sunday at 1. I like being in front of my TV at Sunday at 1. So the Eagles have enough of those games left the rest of the year. You might have to just pay one more price. All right. I want to ask you about a good column that our buddy Ruben Frank on NBC Sports Philly wrote today about Jalen Hurts running less. The last couple of weeks, Jalen Hurts running numbers are down. Amount of runs are down. Running on first and second down is significantly down. Oh, by the way, it hadn't hurt the Eagles at all. When Jalen Hurts throws it, he averages 8.5 yards per play. When he runs it, he averages 5 and change per play. So, yes, if you're looking at purely the numbers, the Eagles are better when they pass the ball than when they run the ball, but you need a balance and you got to react to the defense, all of that stuff. By design or happenstance that the games have gone that way and that's why Hurts is running less? Or is it the Eagles want to put him less at risk? He's having his phenomenal year. He's co-favorite right there in the running for MVP. And when he takes off, there always is the chance. John McMullen, my partner, likes to tell me, hey, you can get hurt from the pocket. That's where he got hurt last year. He missed one game, last year. Yeah. And it was because he was in the pocket. So, but just common sense tells you you're out there, you're open, you're taking a hit without protection. Do you think Jalen Hurts' running numbers are down by design, or that's just the way it's worked out?
No, I'm very confident in this, and it's happenstance. Part of it is, teams are taking it away. They're more concerned with that. I think the thought process is still, even with all the improvement, the best way to beat the Eagles is to force Jalen Hurts to beat you throwing the football. I think that's part of it. What the defenses are doing, they focus far more on stopping the run game. And he's taken advantage of that, deserves credit for it. But one thing, Nick Sirianni has said this consistently since he got here, and he's proven to be truthful. This is not one of his blowing smoke up your you-know-what. If I got to run him 18 times like he did in Detroit, he's going to run him 18 times. If I got to throw it, I'm going to throw it. He says it all the time. He proves it all the time. If they're struggling throwing the football against Washington for some reason, maybe the pass rush goes nuts. Who knows? He'll run it. He'll say, "Hey, off schedule. Do what you need to do to win the game. However it is, RPOs." He's proven that time and time again, Jody. And I'm talking about Nick Sirianni. He's not trying to protect anybody.
But here's the fly in the ointment for me. If your philosophy is, but we'd really prefer Jalen to beat us from the pocket. In case you aren't paying attention, rest of the NFL, he's beating you from the pocket. He's staying in the pocket. He's throwing it downfield. He's got the second best passer rating in the National Football League. At what time, at what point does the narrative change? Where you can't just say, you got to keep him in the pocket.
Well, that's up to the other people. That's up to the other teams. You can't control.
When does the other team say, yeah, we need to throw that idea out the window because he's beating the snot out of teams from the pocket?
ESPN just did a thing on the Eagles and Jalen Hurts and more of the offense as a whole, and they asked a bunch of different executives and personnel people and coaches, and they still default to the passing game. So I mean, that's up to them. That's up to them if they shift, and that's out of your control as an Eagles coach. But they've clearly shifted. Their RPOs, the first 4 games, the first half versus the second half, are way down. The off-schedule stuff is way down because I think people are playing more zone and keeping their eyes on the quarterback. And he's taking advantage, throwing the football. The Eagles are fine with that. They prefer that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's up to the opposition. And somebody wakes up one day and says, you know what? They're killing us with A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert. We gotta focus on stopping them. then he's going to be back running it. Then he's going to be back to the off-schedule stuff, the RPOs. And that's the beauty of the Eagles. They can kill you anyway. That's why they're 8-0. That's why they're the only 8-0 team. That's why I sit here and argue with everybody. You can talk about Buffalo and Kansas City all you want. The Eagles are a better football team than those teams because they can do more things well than anybody else. Doesn't mean the quarterback's better. You know, Patrick Mahomes is a superstar. Josh Allen is a superstar. But as I said, 2 through 52, the Eagles are better than the Bills, and they're better than the Chiefs. And I don't know why everybody in Philadelphia is afraid to say it. Not everybody, but you get my point.
John, I think the majority is not afraid to say it anymore.
But there's a bunch of underdog people.
Doubters, but it's a moving target. I think more have come over.
I should phrase that in a different way. You have a group that thinks the Eagles are the best every year. You know, and they're going to say, we got the best this, we got the best that.
Right.
And they're nuts. And they're crazy. And typically that's not the case. So I'm not talking about those people unaware. I'm talking about the people, you know, the underdog people who think Philadelphia is always the underdog. The Phillies were the underdog against the Astros. The Union were the underdog against Los Angeles Football Club back in the Super Bowl. The Eagles were the underdog against Tom Brady and the Patriots. This Eagles team has never been the underdog. Am I right with that, Jody? They've not been an underdog this season.
No, favorite every game.
And they're not going to be an underdog moving forward unless there's significant injury attrition. They're going to be favored every single game. Maybe Dallas, if Dallas doesn't lose between now and Christmas Eve, who's favored in that game?
I think the Eagles
game, right?
Again, Eagles don't lose, Cowboys don't lose.
What if the Eagles lose one game and the Cowboys go undefeated? Who's favorite in that game?
That's good. Could be.
There's at least there's a possibility that's the one game they might not be favored in, but I agree with you. In all likelihood, they will be favored in that game. Point I'm trying to say is they ain't underdogs, and they shouldn't be underdogs. They're right, the best.
But here's my response to that. If we're again dealing with probabilities, which is more likely? The Eagles will win all their games between now and the Dallas showdown, or Dallas will win all their games between now and the Dallas showdown.
Because the Eagles are better.
Right. So I understand. You know me, Mr. Hypothetical. You're giving me a hypothetical. I'm telling you, I don't think that hypothetical's happening. If it does happen, I think it's a toss-up game. I think it could be Eagles by a point, could be Cowboys by a point. It could go either way as far as favoritism goes, because the Eagles are a better team. So if you give the Cowboys 3 points because it's in their house and a little bit more momentum because they've won X amount in a row and the Eagles have a loss sandwiched in there somewhere. Yeah, I think they still could be favored by a point. It'll be close. Could go either way. It's not a given who's a favorite in that game.
But the larger point, this team ain't an underdog. This team is really, really good. And there's no need to hem and haw about it. They are a really, really good football team.
But see, I'm a prime example of the point you're trying to make here. You know, before the season started, I picked the Eagles to go in the Super Bowl, to the Super Bowl. I thought they were going to win 12 games. Yeah, I got to 12. You and I were both at 11. Right before the season started, I said, Johnny Mac, I got to go to 12. I don't see 6 losses on this Eagles schedule this year, so I'm giving them 12. I didn't know that 12 was going to make them the best team in the National Football League. Yeah, I thought the Bills were better. Yeah, I thought the Chiefs were better. Yeah, I kind of thought the Dolphins were better. I knew the Dolphins weren't going to win 13 games because that division, I thought the AFC East had a chance to be real tough this year. I didn't think the NFC East was going to be as good as it is. And the Eagles are still 8-0 at this point. So really give a tip of the cap to the Eagles. Yeah, I'm a guy who had them as one of the best teams in the National Football League, but now I have them as the best team in the National Football League. So I'm one of those guys who did move the needle. And
I moved the needle. I was at 11. I didn't see
you moved the needle more than I have.
Yeah. I didn't see this coming. I thought they were a playoff level team. I thought they'd be a little bit better than last season. Um, who knows? Maybe be able to win one playoff game, but I didn't think they were going to be significant Super Bowl contenders and be in the conversation with the Chiefs and the Bills. Never mind, but I didn't see, the big down tick from Tampa Bay coming, or Green Bay, or the Rams for that matter. A lot of things move quickly in the NFL. All I can do now is look back at the 8 games of this team and look at all the difference makers they have on the field. And that's the one thing. Like, anybody who says Buffalo and Kansas City, and Matt's a Kansas City guy, we'll talk to him about this. They're talking about the quarterback. And I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is better than Patrick Mahomes, but I think anybody who sits there and tells you the Chiefs have a better roster than the Eagles, or the Bills have a better roster than the Eagles, I would say, what the hell are you looking at?
And there's a reason that they are 8-0 right now. All right, speaking of Matt Verderam, he's going to join us next. National football writer for Fansided.com, host of Stock in the Box podcast. We'll get an out-of-town perspective on how good the undefeated Eagles are next here on Birds 365.